Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for human beings. I want to give you a message that could be used as a final message, and I hope it's not, but I want it to be that wrapped. You, the people here in America and the people on the earth everywhere today, are existing in a scenario, a way of life that is contrary and contradictory to the way life had been planned for you here during your time. It has been planned that your dreams would come true, but not only for you, but from the very beginning. And that cancer which was started in the beginning, which represents denying itself, the beauty of itself, and start falling away from itself further and further, has led us to this point. And what we feel here where we are today, wherever we are, is so much different someplace else. Could be a little better, could be a little worse. And it seems to be a vicious cycle that we experience every day of our lives wherever we are. And I've thought about the 37 years that I've committed myself to trying to wake you up as I wake up. You know, I can't get ahead of myself. I can't take you where I haven't been. And so when I see the light, I come and try to give you the light. And some of you might accept it and some of you might not. I do know one thing, the message isn't really getting around because as I have access to social media, if you look at the times people have clicked on to see what I'm saying, you will find that it's very seldom that any interest is shown in what I have been trying to do. And then I think about my research and I'm looking at people before me who have been doing this forever, it seems. People have been waking up and standing up and telling America and telling the world about the darkness that they're living in. And many of them have been telling you about the secrets of all the various societies. People have been giving you information about the closest places that you could never get information had they not whistleblown. And it seems to really have no effect. Some of these people, as I do my research, I find out that I can see them in public arenas when they were young. And then I can see them when they are older. I can see them right before they die. And then I hear that they're dead. And I look around in the world that I'm living in and I see it seems to have had no impact whatsoever. I think about those who told us about secrets like aliens. People who have seen certain things and the message has been squashed so you couldn't hear it for some strange reason. They don't want you to know it. And these people have died with time, and many of them have been killed. And it seems to have had no effect. I've seen people who stand up and try to champion life itself, the life of freedom. And they have been killed, and it seems to have no effect. When I stand before you with all of this experience, with all of this wisdom, and with all of this knowledge, and on top of all of that, realize that I'm getting old. You know, I'm not like that young guy that used to stand before you. My message hasn't changed. Truth hasn't changed. But now I'm getting older. I have prayed that if it took saying something to awake you from this darkness, that it made the author of this darkness so angry that I would be taken out like those men that I honor before me who were taken out for doing the same things. It would be almost the greatest reward that I could receive. The greatest reward I could receive is you, the people, accepted the message of truth and changed your way, guided toward the fruit thereof, and I see it, I experience it with you. That's the greatest thing. You hear me talk to you about peace, prosperity, and joy. I don't believe there's an individual on the face of the earth that doesn't care about peace, prosperity, and joy. And yet, I hear people talking about it, but they're never talking about it for everyone. What about peace? What does it take to get peace? It takes what? Nonviolence. What does it take to forestate that? Justice. You've heard the expression, no justice, no peace. If there isn't justice, there isn't supposed to be peace. Justice requires that there is no peace when injustice exists. And it is not going to just change. Justice requires that violence or whatever is required to eradicate the situation exist. Injustice is not welcome where justice reigns supreme. Injustice must go. What is injustice? Injustice is when you're abusing people, taking advantage of people, doing for people something that they perhaps need you to do for them, that you will not do. What is justice? Justice is looking after yourself, recognizing that the best way you can look after yourself is making sure that everybody else is satisfied. Then they're your friends and not your enemies. And what do friends do? They look after one another. What do parents do? They teach the children. Anyway, I think about how in the world can you understand what I mean when I speak about peace and prosperity and joy for everybody. You have never been taught that. You've been taught about peace, prosperity, and joy, but you've never been taught about it for everyone. And in an instance where you might have heard it mentioned, it was in a church somewhere, and it had nothing to do with here. It had to do when you die and go someplace, or when the world changes, some miraculous thing, spiritually. But as far as you can live in that heavenly dream here today, just as well as you're living in this hell, no. Everybody gives a substantiation of why this hell is due. They tell you nothing about how wonderful it is to know that man had nothing to do with the creation of the earth. That God, a power that you can't see, you can't touch, you can't feel, you can't bite it. You can't even, and there it is, the earth. And you know what the earth is capable of. The earth is capable of producing any and everything humankind have wanted, thought they wanted, needed, or desired so far. They could take it, look out, whether in the earth, on the earth, above the earth, seen, unseen. And the reason that mankind have been able to do these things is because that same power that made this earth, that put all of that good substance and materials and energies that humankind would need, also put in individuals taste, a hunger for that, meeting that need. What bit that they have been given? They haven't been given to do all things, but to participate in the creation of all things. A part. And every part that each of us have been given, it is the one that truly gives us our joy, to know what it is and being able to do it, to being able to actually put our hands to it. Because everything that we have been given to do is essentially very important in the life dreams of the human beings of the earth. They cannot do it. It cannot be received with our putting our hands in it. The Creator made us that way to be important, not to just be here, not to be a slave, but to live with freedom, freedom to be who and what you are. Your freedom is rest in what you were made to be. When you are that, and that power that made us put it so everything that you're doing is a process of creating all the essential goods and services that we as individuals say are important, not only for our survival, but for our dreams. In other words, to break it down just a little bit, aside from the oxygen, the body that we have and the equipment that comes with it, and the land that we have to live on, aside from providing that in such a way that we don't even have to worry about it, just be here, and that is there. But there are other essentials that are also necessary for our survival and our dreams and our desires. But they have been put in our hands. First of all, we have to recognize what's important for each of us and guarantee that none of us are denied that. Which means that food, everybody needs food. Just one you might fix enough. If just two of you or 4 or 5 of you, one person might be able to fix enough. But think about the thousands, the millions, and the billions. One person can't. But all of the people that have been touched to have a hand in the production and the creation of the delivery systems of food, when you put them in their positions where they will find their joy, then there will be one job: preparing and taking care of the food process by those who were made to come here to do this, find their greatest joy. They are farmers, they are cattlemen, they are milk. You know what they do. And they're here just for that purpose. Just for that purpose. To use their gifts to feed the human race wherever they are. And we need shelter. The Creator knew that. Made sure that the earth would provide everything that we can determine we want to use in our shelter building, our infrastructures, our buildings, our houses, our homes, our schools, our technological institutes. It's here. That's been given. But aside from that comes what? The gifts, the skills to that particular group to do just those particular things. They find their joy in being able to do those particular things and nothing else. Why? Because of the same reasons. They are participating. They have a purpose. They're giving. And it is absolutely necessary that they do it. And they do it. And nothing else. And they house the world. House the world. And there are those who are coming along, children, who need to be educated. Those who have lived a while and turned and saw that what they thought was their dream perhaps isn't. And they recognize it now. They need to be educated. So education. Those who have learned and leave the experience in such a way that others can ascertain it without having to go through it themselves. Benefit from that. Everybody on the face of the earth is entitled to the right of education. Everybody. Every human being. And there are those who have been created to teach. To give the best, to get the best. Teachers. Not for the other reasons that we usually go into teaching for, but for one reason. Because our joy is in teaching. Our joy is in giving out knowledge, knowing what the results are going to be. And so you were made to teach and to do nothing else. Because that's where your joy lies. And it is so absolutely needed. It's you having a purpose, contributing in the process of life itself. And that's all you do. You teach. Everybody got their place. You got the teachers, you got the builders, you got the farmers. Everybody doing their thing. Not trying to do somebody else's thing because they have a greater benefit. No, there's no greater benefit than what you were designed to do. And I'm telling you about these things so after I'm gone, you can still know. Now you got these, but there's something else. There's something we call healthcare because people, human beings, have a vulnerability to sickness, to diseases, to ailments, to breaking some, doing some things perhaps against them that tears the body down. Need some health care. Need some health care. Now this is a given. People are going to need some health care. Something perhaps to prevent them from getting sick. Something to treat them and get them well when they get sick. And try to keep them from returning after they've gotten well. Now this is a whole range of processes. This is from doctors and nurses and all kinds of health care from psychologists and physiologists and researchers and dreamers. All of this is absolutely necessary. And so for healthcare, the field is open for every human being on the face of the earth who feels that yearning inside of them to be able to lay hands on somebody and do just one little thing or many things to bring back an inch of life. An inch of life. And I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the joy lies for those who have been given to. Right today, people go into bombing zones to help people because that's what they were made to do. Whoa, let's change that around. Take out the bombings and let's deal with the sickness. Cure that. Give these people the opportunity to engage themselves in the production and revelation of life continues. And so nothing should inhibit anybody that needs anything from anyone. It's one for all and all for one. Education. Nobody pays for education. We need you. We can't live without you. Nobody pays for health care. We need you. We can't live without you. And we're going to try to penalize you by charging you something perhaps that you don't have so it can benefit some of us and leave some of you hurting. Not in this, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm speaking to you about. Health care. We've talked about outside of that the Master has given us in the process of pursuing peace, prosperity, and joy. We know our joy. We know the way of peace because we got our own dreams and we're in it. So there's no complication there. And that prosperity, where does it come from? How does all this happen? How do all our needs get to be met? Because the Father created us, that every last one of us on the face of the earth came here with something to do, and the door has been opened because we can't get it if we don't do. And in order to get it, we got to do. So we do. We put our hands into it. We work. We don't call it work because this is where joy comes from. So we call it our plaything. We call it our fun. And as a consequence, there is no war. There is no poverty. There is no crime, no violence, no terrorism, no war. There is, my friends, peace, prosperity, and joy. Now that is the way that I have been led to know God. And I know that human beings don't think like this. I don't think like this. I never read about, heard anybody that really thinks like this, except those I mentioned earlier who have gone on. And I'm telling you this now because I feel that I'm at that point where I'm really going to be going on, and I think pretty soon. I had hoped that, as I mentioned earlier, that the evilness of the world would get upset with me and kill me so I can be complete. I knew my life had real value. But at the same time, I've reached a point in my life where life started just falling away. You know, we haven't prepared for old age. The system has denied that growth. And so we started rotting away and started losing our parts that have kept us going. You know, like that old car you didn't take care of, or you took care of it, but at a certain time that baby had to go. And I had hoped that perhaps even at this point in time, that the people's minds would have changed in such a way that we could have applied ourselves and we can do these old folks the way they do old cars. Some of the hottest things and the prettiest things on the road are the old cars. But we care more about the cars than we care about human beings. But I want to leave this with you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way of peace, prosperity, and joy. You're not going to hear it in your educational institutions up to this point. You're not going to hear it in your religious institutions up to this point. Not that these people are trying to keep it away from you. It's that they are not aware of it. It doesn't happen. It's not normal. It's not a traditional way of life. And so they try to deal with life in such a way that based upon their understanding of it, you can either move forward. Here again, based upon your own choices. But when you have left the choice out, the greatest choice that can be made out of it, then do you really have choice? And what is the value of your choice if you knew what you were missing? That's why those who know, show. They stop talking and start walking. And either the light will spread or this one will be sent to a place of where people are. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just end with this, what I have said. Bye-bye.